What's up customizers, today I'm going to be showing you how to paint camo, but not just one type, not just two types, but 4 different types of camouflage. Let's go. The parts I'll be using are a mix of 3D printed parts just to show you guys, as I currently don't have any figures on order that have camouflage on them. All of the parts are made by DS Artwork and Jump, their links will be in the description. For priming the parts, I'm going to be using High Coat Grey Primer, and when everything is fully painted, I'll be using Plasticoat Matte Clear to protect it all. I usually do 2 light even coats for the grey primer, and when it comes to using the matte clear coat, 1 even coat should do the trick. Once everything is fully dried, it's time to bring the parts back inside for painting. First we're going to start with Commander Gree's camo. We'll be using Vallejo Khaki, Vallejo White, Vallejo Fern Green, and Vallejo US Olive Drab. I'm going to take the khaki and white and do a rough 50-50 mix of the two. This is just to lighten up the khaki and make it a little paler, and then I'm going to apply that to the whole part. Now I'm going to take a sponge, rip a small piece off, and dab it into some olive drab. And then dab it onto my hand to get rid of a lot of the excess paint. I do this so the paint becomes a lot more even, it gives a speckled effect rather than one huge thick blob of paint. I also do this on my hand rather than a paper towel, as paper towels can absorb too much of the paint, leaving nothing or not enough paint onto the sponge. I then do the same process for Fern Green. A lot of the time making camouflage is as simple as just trusting the process and practice, at least in my opinion. And it's as simple as that. Next it's on to Nemec's camo. For Nemec's camo I use Vallejo Khaki, Vallejo Black Brown, and Vallejo Luftwaffe Green. This is the exact same process as Gree's camo, just by using different colours to make them a little different. I do however slightly change up the application of the camouflage by not pressing down as hard with the sponge. This is so the areas aren't as large as Gree's camo. Another difference is that you can see me go over the camo again with the base khaki colour. This is to break up the heavier coloured areas and give them a more gradual transition into one another. Next is onto Fireball's camo. For this I use Vallejo Green Grey, Vallejo Luftwaffe Green, Vallejo Khaki, and Vallejo Black Brown. This process is again going to be the exact same, but this time using the green grey as the base colour, and using the other colours to lightly build up that camouflage. However, going even lighter on the dabbing to ensure the speckled effect is really emphasised. And that's how I paint Fireball's camouflage. Lastly, it's onto the Kashyyyk scout camo. For this style I use Citadel Screaming Skull, Vallejo Green Grey, Vallejo US Olive Drab, and Vallejo Fern Green. Now this process of camo was a lot more time consuming than the rest, but it matches the Revenge of the Sith look as close as I can get it. Firstly I mixed Screaming Skull with Green Grey, roughly a 70-30 ratio in the favour of Screaming Skull, and used that as the base colour. Now this process is similar by dabbing fern green and trying to match the camouflage locations on certain Revenge of the Sith renders. I then do the same with Olive Drab. Now this is where things change a little. I then take a small brush and fill in the centre of the camouflaged areas to fill them out and darken them. This makes them a little more pronounced. I then take the original base colour and fill those parts out again, however leaving some of the tiny speckled areas from the fern green and olive drab. I do this with a brush so I have complete control on where I want painted and what I want to be left speckled from the sponge. By doing this, it gives a nice varied effect of both harsher, darker camouflage, plenty of base colour shown through, and tiny speckled camouflage in between, so it's slightly gradual. Here you can see the tiny speckled effects I wanted to keep. And that's how I paint my camouflage for a variety of different characters. I hope this helps people in painting camouflage. Remember, camo is supposed to be messy and random, so don't be afraid to give it a go, as there's no real wrong way of doing it. Anyways, that's all from me. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. But before I go, I'll leave you all with some pictures of fully built characters who use these camos. Happy customizing everyone.